Presentation is about something everyone should know, and it's a very important concept in our industry today. Lean construction is a way to design production systems to minimize waste of materials, time, and effort to generate the maximum value. If you want to reduce waste and increase productivity in your company, you must understand the implementation of lean practices. Our next speakers, Ryan Frucci and Eric Miller, will tell us all about that. Don R. Frucci, President Ryan Frucci, has been with the company for over 17 years. Ryan joined the company in 1999 and took over responsibilities as president of the company in the year 2000. He graduated from DePaul University in Greencastle, Indiana in 1997. Eric Miller was a foreman for 8 years at Don R. Frucci and has been working as a general superintendent for the past 5 years. He has been an ironworker for 21 years. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ryan and Eric.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
You're going to do it.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Lean as a system, I think you're going to hear a lot of consistencies with some of the things other speakers have already mentioned. This is just kind of the way we've found to work a little bit better and more efficient. Briefly, Don R. Frucci started in 1950, and like many new ironworker companies, we had to be creative with resources to acquire and complete work. As time passed, this ingenuity stayed with us, and we did our best to stay organized and maintain our reputation of quality and professional work in the community. Recent years, and particularly the recent recession, put a spotlight on competition and efficiency on job sites. We had concerns about the growing amounts of paperwork required for safety and also for job site management. And we also believed that we had the best people to perform that work and wanted a system that would help us both showcase that talent and use that talent to its full extent. We started our lean education process in the year 2010, and we didn't have a very sophisticated outlook on it at the time, but we did write down some very basic notes on why we wanted to start. Our first reason was pricing pressure from competitors, both union and non-union. We felt like we were losing ground, and there were areas where we could tighten up and find efficiencies to help us keep our prices competitive. We wanted to further streamline our operations. We'd always been organized. We wanted to find a way to make sense of that organization and take it to the next level. We wanted to find a way to be profitable when asked to meet a target price from a customer. That was becoming more and more common, and a lot of times we weren't able to get there with confidence. Finally, we wanted our people to be able to work smarter and not harder. And that's a common saying, but it really means a lot in lean, in so much as our people want to work. They want to get out there and showcase what they can do. And what lean offered us was a system to help them do meaningful work, gain ground on a project without as many of the hassles you find on a typical job site. A big jump start when we started came by seeking out experienced users, making some site visits to projects that were using lean at the time, and looking for existing resources. Lean has been around in manufacturing for a long time. It's relatively new to construction, and it's still an evolving system. We've found a lot of help looking through these resources, but we've also had to form it to what we do specifically. There's not a lot out there specific to steel erection, but once you get kind of the gist of it, you can kind of make it fit for yourself. Like I mentioned, it was difficult to find resources specific to our work in particular. We joined a group called the Lean Construction Institute. They have newsletters, regional meetings, talks, and seminars They're nationwide as far as I know. I know there's two. We're from Fort Wayne, Indiana. There's a council that meets in Michigan, and there's one that meets in Cincinnati. So that we're kind of in between. We can kind of take our pick. Whichever has the more interesting session, we'll go to that group. There was a consultant we hired to come in. This consultant dealt more with the manufacturing side of Lean, the Toyota principles, and then some of the basics. He wasn't necessarily specific to Lean construction as much. He got into the Lean pull planning, but it was just a nice overview and helped us get our mind around the whole concept. We also bought and used the videos and programming from an online resource called Gemba Academy. And again, they're kind of a full flavor Lean house, and they don't deal necessarily specifically with construction, but a lot of the things apply to your study. As time passed and we learned more about Lean, we were able to see a lot more of the benefits. Like I mentioned before, those notes from 2010 were very rudimentary, very basic. I like to think of it as climbing a mountain. When you first look at where you're trying to go from ground level, from sea level, you can't really see very far. You have a very basic understanding of what's ahead of you. And then as you climb the mountain, as you learn more, you get to look out, and there's a whole world out there that you didn't even know was there. So it's a real powerful tool as you get into it. We used Lean to assist and enhance our safety program. Again, that's a big topic here, and that makes sense. That's probably the most important thing on our minds at work. Tools like 5S, pull planning, daily work plans, and then also just keeping things, tools, and job sites organized was a major benefit. It encouraged and used coworker input. We increased communication. You get buy-in from people throughout the organization, and people can see their ideas put into use, and that gives them a sense of pride in what they're doing beyond what their general tasks are for the day. We use Lean to streamline our fleet of equipment and also our tools. This gave us a means and methods to evaluate kind of the things we were using and what we were doing, and kind of get rid of things that were just taking up space. And then also we standardized work practices across the company from the field into the office. One of the major pillars of Lean is respect for people. The primary focus of this is providing our people a way to be safe and also complete the work ahead of them. Everybody in this room knows our work is full of hazards. We kind of have a joke around the office that a lot of people will call us when the work is high, dirty, or dangerous. So using Lean and to enhance our safety program made us more confident and also more valuable to companies that needed us to perform that work. And like I mentioned before, our coworkers have been very encouraged by watching their ideas go into action. As far as customer engagement goes, we've recently sold 2 jobs specifically because of the Last Planner system. The Last Planner, I'm going to let Eric go into a little bit more detail on this, but it gives a little bit more of a sophisticated forecast for an owner, but it also requires the owner to be involved as well. One of the more recent ones, there was a supplier involved, and the supplier guaranteed all the equipment was there on site. And then through this process, we found out that several significant pieces were missing, and we were able to limit the amount of downtime where it could have been disastrous for the customer. The customer also is engaged, and they have to hold their end of the bargain. Everybody on this team is committed to finishing the project on time and on budget. And having the owner involved, rather than just kind of sitting and watching us work, was very helpful. In these 2 scenarios, the other contractors involved were new. We were the only ones that really had any exposure to lean and pole planning. And then for our rigging work, a lot of the plants we go into, they're already using this lean system. They speak the lean language, the Toyota terms, and then having our guys familiar with that just kind of gives a little bit more of a bond with those people and helps us get along a little bit more. As far as the company commitment goes, lean is being used throughout our company. The accounting department, estimating, field, yard, shop, and also our fabrication shop are all engaged in lean study. Working together, also a higher degree of communication has allowed several historical issues to be straightened out. There were bottlenecks between departments, and there were unnecessary steps and processes that just existed because they had, and nobody really took the time to look at or examine what was actually going on. In our lean study, we called this the low-hanging fruit, just the real easy things that you could see right off the bat, and they really made a big difference in terms of efficiency. All the people in our company have the freedom to make changes. They're called countermeasures in lean terms when we find opportunities for improvement. If there's an issue in a specific process, it is also nice because you take the personal side out. You don't point fingers at individuals. It's the process that's the issue and not a person. So that really helps people open up and talk about their daily task steps and look for places where we can make some changes. In the very beginning, there's a big push to record and report different lean improvements, but as time goes on, we've found that things are just kind of happening organically. So people will have they're called Kaizen meetings. People from different departments will get together, talk about a problem, and immediately go back and start with a new change. And so that it's kind of, while it was nice to have the reports and people got to see their name on a piece of paper, I think the satisfaction of having hassle eliminated has been more beneficial, and that's just kind of the way things are going now. The ultimate goal, as we see it now, is for people to simplify and streamline their daily activities. For us, hiring and retaining good people is going to be a critical item going forward. I think that's a commonality across the country. So allowing people the freedom to find their best way to do their job and then share that with others is empowering, and it gives a sense of unifying pride throughout the company. We want our people to be able to show up and perform meaningful work and move the company and projects forward with as little interference and frustration as possible. And on lean jobs where we're the only ones using lean, if we can eliminate the hassles, internal hassles, and as much as we can from our side, and if all they had to do was worry about hassles of a general job site, that's a big step. And we also finally want customers to continue to recognize the value that comes with hiring us. I'll let Eric talk more.
Yeah, talking about the pole planning, in most cases, when we go out to bid jobs, we are not the lowest bidders on the job site. So what we try to do is, during that bidding process, we encourage our customers to use us for our lean practices and that pole planning session incorporated into the job. On the instance on their last Christmas shutdown on one of our customers, we did do that. We were the highest bidders, but they did like our plan on the last planner and getting lean involved in their facility. They liked that we would include all the contractors that were involved in any of the jobs that were in or around this casting line that we were installing. So every morning at 10 o'clock, we would have a pole plan meeting or a last planner session to get everybody involved, get everybody talking exactly where they're going to be at that certain point in time during that day. And if there's any things that weren't getting done or somebody's going to be in each other's way, we could take that, move it around on the last planner, and try to keep workflow flowing. We completed that project, and like Ryan mentioned, there was a few things that the vendor didn't ship overseas, and we were a few days behind. But all in all, we did catch up and got the customer up and running on time. With the owner's feedback, he did mention that they have never used a union contractor in this facility before, and we knew that going into this project. So he was very, very complimentary on what our guys did, the way we planned the job, and how we got it done. Even some of their maintenance guys come up and talk to us later after the project and asked how we trained our guys so well on getting the jobs done. They went up to a few guys and actually asked them, you know, how many times have you worked in this facility? Because it just seems like you guys know exactly what to do. And with our daily planning meetings and our pre-task meetings, that we show all them guys every morning what that job task is that day. Again, like I said, this was a facility that used non-union workers up until the point of the Christmas shutdown. There are many other facilities that use the non-union workers, and we see this as an opportunity to reach out to these facilities and show them that we can be an asset to their facility and getting projects done safely, on time, and within their budget. Lean taught me to think a little different and to become a better leader. For an example, as an apprentice, we was taught to listen to the journeyman and the foreman. There are many cases where I just wanted to ask, why are we doing this? And the most common answer would be, kid, we've done this before you were born. And that's still kind of a common answer to this day. I didn't really learn anything from what they were telling me. When they would tell me that, I would just have to do what I was told to do and learn it that way. With a small amount of information to the iron workers, just getting them to think on their own is the next step of having a productional day. As a company, we try to achieve getting the information out to the crews in our daily pre-task plans at the start of every job. This gets everyone engaged in what there is to do for that day. As the day goes on, we have to communicate with each other, and all the information needs to be shared. Chain of command is still in place, but we give all personnel a chance to talk about the processes and how to make changes. With the communication and information readily available, we can also use our manpower in many different scenarios. For an example, maybe one of our foremen calls in sick or an emergency arises during that workday. At any moment, almost anyone in that crew can step up and take control of that job until we find the correct way to manage the job. In some cases, these guys that step up are apprentices that are on the job. We encourage the men and women in our crews to be we encourage the men and women in the crews to step up and engage in our daily pre-task plans and start in the morning on every job. This gives personnel a time to think of what our goals are that day. Getting the workers engaged in these meetings, lean processes, will help grow a safer, faster, stronger workforce each day. Thank you.